pause, put the controller down. It's time to talk about the gaming industry. My name is TJ Liu.
And I'm Andrew.
This is episode 29 of Press Pause, a gaming podcast. How are you, my friend?
Feeling better. Not 100% yet, but definitely feeling better, sounding more normal.
Yeah, you do not sound dead anymore.
Yeah. Finally, I'm gonna come out of January feeling like a human being again.
Yeah, can't believe we're almost in February already.
Yeah.
Time is moving quickly. All right, let's get to some housekeeping and corrections. Nothing special this week. We are on Spotify. If you want the audio-only version of Press Pause, a gaming podcast, link is in the description. Have you been playing anything new the last week?
Not really. Nothing new. Just as part of feeling like a human again, I've been slowly getting back into the stuff that I was doing. So Stalker 2, basically. Just starting to make progress on that again. Other than that, no. I've been doing stuff. Been practicing 3D animation, trying to learn more about that, trying to learn more about rigging up characters. That's been most of what I've been doing. And like I said, between that and Stalker 2 has been most of what my time's been spent on. How about you?
We are nearing completing fully Remnant 2.
Okay.
I am at 150 hours.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I cannot tell you how amazing that game really is. The amount of secrets is insane.
Yeah, I saw you posted something just talking about how good of a time you were having with it.
Oh my god, dude! I never played Remnant 1. I heard that it was good, but I never really played it. And then the reviews for Remnant 2 came out, and reviewers were saying this is one of the best games in a long time, and that it's so. They basically compared it to Assassin's Creed 1 to 2, where Assassin's Creed 2 was
in that level of improvement.
Yeah, that level of improvement where you're like,
yeah.
This is what they really meant to do. Okay, I get it. So I was like,
the dream is realized.
Yeah, exactly. The foundation was built with the first game, and the second game is what kicks it into high gear.
Yeah.
And so I decided to go back and play the first one just to see what I was in for, and I did beat it. And I was like, yeah, it's fine.
Fine.
It's good. I think I would give it a 6 or a 7. It was nothing to write home about. But then I played Remnant 2, and I was like, oh
yeah, here it is.
You guys mastered the shit out of that first game. It's so refined. So if you're somebody who likes a game where, so the game itself is not very long. If you really just want to go from start to finish and beat the game, you could probably beat it in 6 hours. Probably.
Yeah, it's not tremendously long.
No, but then you go. So the way the game's designed is that it is procedurally generated levels, but they are procedurally generated in a way that doesn't make them feel procedurally generated until you've played it for 150 hours. And then you're like, oh, okay, I see the seams. I get it. I get how they did it.
You learn to spot the pieces and how they're put together.
Yeah, but it's so well done that the first 8 times you run through these levels.
If you can play a game 8 times and feel like you're seeing something new every time, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's
even if it is just a trick.
It is a trick, but the way they do it is so
it's a well executed trick.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's so good.
I mean, to a certain degree, most art, in fact, I would say all art is a well executed trick.
It's true. Yeah, it's getting you to.
That's not actually a person on that page. That's just a bunch of lines. But it tricks your brain into thinking that it is.
Exactly. Suspends disbelief, so, there's only 3.5 worlds. The half world that I'm referring to is actually, I guess, 4.5. No. 3 full worlds and then 2 half worlds. So the half worlds are not procedurally generated. They're always the same.
Oh, okay.
Because
Are
they're
these
like
like
they're
they're like
pivotable.
hub worlds or something like that?
No, they're just
Pivotal.
pivotal to the story. So you
Oh, so
hit,
they have to be laid out the same way.
they're
Okay.
always the same thing, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the other three worlds, those are the procedurally generated ones, and so think of I'm trying to compare Diablo. Okay, Diablo 3.
Love
Okay,
Diablo.
you get like your hub world, right? So you're in
Mm-hmm.
like your desert world, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they have like those instances, like the caves and
Yeah.
all those stuffs. It's like that, but those places have specific names and have specific things that can happen in them.
Mm-hmm.
So the world that you're in, okay, so we'll say World A,
Mm-hmm.
has a bunch of side dungeons in it,
Yeah.
and it pulls from a pool of side dungeons that can appear in that world. So you're not going
Okay.
to get all of them in one run. You're going to get
Yeah.
a select few of them
Yes.
randomly.
That's very Diablo.
Very Diablo. And then within those dungeons can happen randomly procedurally generated events that can occur in them that adds to what the side dungeons design is already meant to be.
Yeah, so
So,
like I'm assuming like an NPC who's also there exploring for something, or somebody who needs to be rescued or something like that. Like is it
or a
along those lines?
puzzle, or a
Yeah.
secret boss,
Okay. Yeah.
or, you know,
Variety within the variety, nested
exactly.
levels of variation to make it seem fresh over and
Exactly.
over
So
until
you
you've
could
played it a million
play.
times and seen every
Exactly.
permutation. Yeah.
So you could
Yeah.
play this game so many times and not see the same thing twice. It's
Yeah, this is like this is
remarkable.
exactly like Diablo. This
Yeah.
is an experience I've had with Diablo 3 until I played 100 hours of the game and had seen basically everything, and then just did it with another character.
The difference is, and this might be shocking to you, but I think this game does it better than Diablo.
Ooh,
Now it is a third person. It's kind of a third person shooter mixed with a Souls game, but it's
okay.
not as hard as a Souls game because it's a shooter. I mean, you can only make a shooter so difficult.
Yeah, and with procedural generation, you have to keep in mind that some layouts might be harder than others.
Yeah.
So you have to say, let's ease back on the enemy encounters just in case somebody gets a bad roll and they've got like 10 instant death pits in a row, or whatever, something like that.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's well balanced, and
Yeah.
and there's 4 different difficulty modes. For the most part, though, enemies just hit you harder.
Yeah.
So your skill is more required to be spot on. It's all
Yeah.
about dodging and
Mhm.
shooting and using your skills, which I haven't even elaborated on that. When you start the game, there's 4 classes, but you can unlock, I think, 12 in total.
Holy shit.
So this game is huge, and you don't need to restart the game and start a new character in order to gain them all. You can unlock the classes in the game that you started.
Oh.
So you can switch between classes,
Oh.
and each class has a primary perk that you get if it's your primary class.
Okay.
So you can have like 50 different combos of one primaries, one secondary.
This is sounding like Final Fantasy V, where you can unlock abilities when you master a class that you can use across classes, but you'll only get that bonus to black magic if you're a black mage, or you only get that bonus to white magic if you're a white mage. Okay, yeah, I like what I'm sounding, because this sounds like a lot of games that I like.
Yeah, and then on top of those layers, each class has 3 skills, which are cooldowns, super moves that you can use. And on top of that, there's like, I don't know, I want to say like 30. So you have a long gun, which is your primary weapon.
Mm-hmm.
You have a melee weapon, which for the most part you don't use unless you put everything into melee, which is hard, but you can do it. And then you have a handgun.
Mm-hmm.
So there's all those variations. So different melee weapons you find, and they're not randomly generated weapons. They are weapons that you have to find in the worlds.
Now this is starting to sound a little bit like Warframe, because Warframe has a similar setup to that.
Yeah,
you have a long range gun, a short range gun, and a melee weapon.
Well, your primary weapon can be a shotgun.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't have to be a long range gun. They just call it a long gun in the game for some reason.
It's like a big gun.
But it's a big gun. Yes, it's a shotgun, a Tommy gun. Yeah, Yeah, and then your
I do like a
handgun's
good
one-hander.
shotgun.
Yeah, there's shotguns, there's sniper rifles, there's machine guns, there's what else is there? And then there's like all kinds of like weird weapons that
Yeah,
uses the
like
alien stuff
your
that you
sci-fi
encounter.
guns, like
Yeah.
rail guns and lightning guns and shit.
Yep.
Oh man, remember the lightning gun from Unreal Tournament 2004?
Yeah.
Your sniper rifle is a fucking lightning bolt generator.
It's so cool.
Love that game.
Yeah. Oh, and then you have 4 rings that you wear on your fingers, which all give you stat boosts to specific things.
Okay.
And there's 250 rings in the game.
Holy fuck.
So there's lots of different builds. And then there's also an amulet. I don't know how many amulets are in the game. I think I have about 20, maybe something like that.
That's plenty of amulets.
Yeah. And then on top of
you walk
that,
around looking like Flava Flav.
You can only wear 1 amulet.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, 1 amulet, 4 rings. That's the gist. Oh, and then there's armor sets, but they don't mean as much. They're honestly more cosmetic. But the only thing armor really does for you is if your armor is higher, you take less damage.
Yeah.
But you're heavier, so your dodge roll is slower.
Okay.
And if you have lighter armor, then your dodge roll goes further and is quicker. So it's that's basically all armor is.
Yeah.
And then there's mods. So you can put a mod on each of your guns. So one on your handgun and one on your long gun.
So is that like adding elemental types or something like that?
No, it's adding a whole nother attack.
Oh,
so on top of your skills.
Now it's like Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal, which also have that. Like you can have the grenade launcher alt fire mode for your shotgun.
Yes, it's like that, except all of the mods that you collect in the game can be applied to any weapon.
Oh, now that's incredibly
almost any
useful.
weapon. Some weapons have a mod that's built in that's locked to that weapon because it's like a special weapon.
Yeah.
But all of the standard weapons that you get can use any mod that you find in the entire game.
Yeah, I like this.
The amount of layers this game is just insane. And then when I talk about secrets, like I mean like holy shit secrets level of craziness. Like sometimes you'll find an item in the game and you'll be like, what the fuck does this do? And the game does not tell you anything.
You just have to experiment. And
you have to figure it out. You have to think. You have to explore. I'll put it this way: there is a level in the game that's kind of like a gothic city, like a gothic rundown town.
Mm-hmm.
And there's I found a bell, like a big bell, and I shot it, and it went dong, and I was
as you'd expect,
but it only did it once.
Oh, then you definitely opened up like a door somewhere.
Yeah, and then a bunch of enemies came and attacked me, and I'm like, okay, was that it? And I couldn't figure anything out. And then like my 6th playthrough, I saw a second bell, and I'm like, oh, there's 2 bells.
Oh,
What if I hit both bells?
Yeah.
And then nothing happened, and I'm like, does that mean there's a 3rd bell?
There's a 3rd bell.
Couldn't find the 3rd bell for another 18 playthroughs, something like that. And I found the 3rd one, and you get something for hitting all 3 bells in one playthrough. Of course. And then like there's one where you can play the game multiple times on your character. So you can re-roll the campaign, but keep your character.
Yeah. Also like Diablo.
And re-roll areas as well. And there's certain hidden things in the game that require you to reroll in order to complete them.
Right.
Like there's a quilt that this lady that you encounter in an orphanage in that same actual gothic city.
Of course.
And she's making a quilt, and she doesn't talk to you. And I'm like, what is she doing here? And I must have passed her 80 times by the time I figured out what the hell she was doing. And it was right in front of me the whole time, and it's just one of those things where it's like
you got to find like materials for it or something.
No, it's a giant room with all these orphans all around, and she's at like a spin wheel.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Knitting, and I thought she was just knitting, but then I looked closer one day, and I was like, oh, there's like a giant quilt on the floor that I walked on to go up to her. What's this giant quilt that's on the floor that she's making? And I could see it was like a tic-tac-toe pattern basically on the quilt, and some of the squares had art filled into them and some of them were empty.
Oh, is this like things that you've found in the game are being
Yeah,
marked
so they
off
were
on the
there. I
quill.
realized that the things that were in those
It's
squares were
a it's a
bosses that I have killed.
it's a tapestry, bro. It's a
It,
tapestry of your story in the game. That's cool.
exactly. And I was like, shit, so what happens if I complete the quilt? And obviously something happens. I'm not going to give it
Yeah.
away, but
Yeah,
yeah, like
I bet something
that's
does.
just the beginning. There's
Yeah.
invisible walls that hold secrets behind them that you would
Yep.
never know are there unless you just start walking into the wall.
Yep.
Or there are hints of like sound that you can hear when you're
Sure.
near one of those invisible walls, but like
You can hear like a
layers.
draft coming through or something.
Yeah, there's like a mystical sound. It's like a
Oh yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
chimes, almost like a
Yeah, just
wind
some kind of
chime.
sound cue where you're like, "Huh, that's interesting." And then
Yeah.
you notice that you heard it after you accidentally walked through this wall and you go, "Oh,
Yeah.
is that what that means?" And then
Now I gotta
next
think.
next time you hear it, you're like, "Okay,
Yeah,
I'm going to rub up against these walls until I go through one of them." Yep.
exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or you'll find a key and you'll be like, what the fuck's this for? And you've never seen a door that's locked in that area. You know, and you're like, what do I do with that? And all of the items in the game you can inspect, and sometimes you have to inspect them,
Oh, you like turn them over and
turn them over. Yeah.
oh, the Resident Evil remake does that.
Yeah.
Where
I had
you like you find like the key on the bottom of the music
the
box
bottom
or
of the
something.
music box. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love this.
There's
I
a
should play
flash.
this.
Yeah, there's a flashlight that you find, and on the bottom there's a code, and you're like, "What the fuck's the code for?" And you got to,
Oh,
but you don't know. You got to figure out what the code's for.
I bet
I
the code is goes somewhere in the dark, or you use the flashlight to illuminate. That
nope,
feels like a clue.
nope,
Oh,
that's
it's
not the
not.
no,
Ah,
no. There's something else, but yeah,
oh,
it's not that
okay,
simple. Nothing is as simple as you think it is. They're all
okay.
complex. Um, I found a key once that opened a door, and then I encountered another locked door, and I was like, "Well, why can't this? Why doesn't this key open it?" And the next time I went through there, I examined the key, and it's a double key,
Oh,
so it
oh,
flips.
you have to flip it around. Okay.
But you can only use the key once. It like dissolves once you use it. So I
Oh,
had to play it again
play it
anyway.
again. So the progression sticks,
Yep. Yeah.
and then okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Like all the items in the game that you get are there in specific spots. So
Yeah.
like the fire shotgun is always in the same place. You just have to be lucky enough to have that area roll
Yeah, spawn
in the RNG.
in the this particular permutation of the
Yeah.
zone.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's so good, dude.
Yeah,
So
this
good.
sounds really good.
Yeah. And
I should introduce you to a game called Nightmare Reaper.
I should
I
look
get
that up.
I get the feeling you could get lost in that because it's also a shooter with procedurally generated levels
I
and
love that kind of
weapons
stuff.
and stuff. It's pretty good. I like it.
Yeah. My only complaint against the game is that some of the um, mysteries are so obscure.
That it's like I got to look up a guide. I'm never gonna figure this out.
Oh no, it's like people had to data mine the game in order to
Oh,
figure them out.
oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of them are pretty bad. And there's actually still one mystery in the game that no one's figured out, and I don't think anyone's going to be able to. There's certain levels in the game where this like purple black hole orb starts following you.
Oh,
And if it gets too close, it starts to damage you, but it doesn't stop hunting you and you can't kill it. But every single other time in the game, when you encounter something where you're like, there's something there.
yeah.
So it's like, do you have to bring the orb somewhere in the level? But you look online and you're like, I wandered around this fucking level for 3 hours with this orb following me,
outrunning the orb.
trying to find out if it just something happens when you get to a certain
I
place
was
and nothing
doing
ever
an
happens.
orb run and I couldn't
Yeah.
find it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I still think there's something to it. And the developer has stated that no player, even at 400 plus hours of gameplay, has found every secret in the game. So it's crazy. It's just crazy.
This is like when PT came out and everybody was working together like on Reddit and social media and stuff trying to figure out what to do.
Yep.
Like
I love that.
I want to be the guy who figured out that you had to zoom in on the photograph in the menu, not in the stage, in the menu to access the piece of the like the torn up picture.
Yeah. 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 That
Oh
back
wait,
that
you could zoom in while you're paused. Oh god, I bet that does something. This is a Kojima game. Well, nobody knew at the time, but
no, but yeah. Yeah, no, there was multiple instances where that we had to look things up and we were like, how would anyone figure this out? Like like it just doesn't make any sense. But I also love games that do that at the same time. So
yeah.
I'm just like, it's
It
so
goes
fun to
back to
find
the
those
days of
things.
people trying to figure out what is it that gets Reptile to appear in Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, it's stuff like that where it's so obscure. It's like it's such an old school mentality.
Yeah.
I
Although
just
we
love
didn't
it.
have the web back then. Well, technically the web existed, but we weren't on it.
No, no,
Trying to
no.
figure out how the
Yeah,
fuck do you get Reptile to show up?
yeah. So I cannot recommend Remnant 2 more. It's one of my favorite games of all time at this point. It's
Yeah,
just
that's gonna have to go on the list.
so good.
This is gonna be a very expensive year. I've got 2 Final Fantasy games that I need to play this year. No, 3 because I still need to finish 7 Remake and then go to 7 Rebirth and
Well,
then do 16.
Remnant 2 is pretty old at this. No, it's not super old, but it's old enough at this point where I'm sure it's coming down in price.
Okay.
And you definitely need all the DLC because they're substantial.
Okay.
But yeah, I've also been playing Alan Wake 2 still. Last time I talked about how I got to the point where the quality was dipping for me because it started to get into the Remedy weird territory.
Yeah.
And the weirdness has gone away because I understand it now. Story wise, it's making more sense. It's still weird.
Wait, hold on. You're telling me the game about the writer that wrote himself into a story about a writer that was itself written by a writer was kind of confusing?
Just a little bit confusing.
What a shock! Also,
it's a
the
little
ending
convoluted.
didn't come until it had DLC.
Which is the same for this one, apparently. So,
oh fuck!
Yeah, annoying. But that being said, I'm enjoying it. It's definitely nothing. It's not more than an 8. I can't. There's no way I can give it more than an 8 because it's.
I mean,
still
an
got
8's
that.
not bad.
No, definitely not. I'm enjoying it. I'm still playing it. The only reason it's taking me this long to beat it, I feel like I could have beat it by now, but the only reason it's taking me this long to beat it is because it's a horror game, and I can't play it for long periods of time. My nerves just get shot playing this game. It's just it's kind of terrifying at times.
Yeah.
My nerves are always gripping that controller, man. Gripping that controller. They do these weird things where like they have like the screen flashes with like a well, Remedy's games. They mix real footage of people with the graphics in the game.
Yeah.
So like there's whenever something creepy's going on,
like
there's
how
these,
Max
flashes.
Payne is just Sam Lake.
I know.
And Sam Lake's in this game too.
He is. Yeah, he's is Sam Lake Agent Casey or is he Alan Wake?
He's Agent Casey.
He's Agent Casey. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, by the way, so I'm sure everyone knows this already, so it's not really a spoiler, but it's clear that Alan Wake is connected to Control.
Yes. Yes.
There's a million references to Control in the base game. They don't really like dive
Control
into it.
has references to Alan Wake in it. They bring up the lake cabin from the first game.
Yeah, there's DLC for Control that is Alan Wake specific.
Yeah.
And then there's DLC in Alan Wake 2 that is Control specific.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all over the game. I could have told you that without any DLC coming. It's obvious.
Yeah.
That being said, though, I at times get Max Payne vibes. Not because of Sam Lake, but just because I think that because I mean, there's been rumors of another Max Payne game for ages now.
Well, there's rumors of a remake. I don't know how they're gonna have a hard time making a new one because James McCaffrey, the guy who was the voice of Max Payne, died, and
they might just reboot it.
They might just reboot it, but like, dude, how do you find someone to replace that voice? You have to look real hard.
Yeah,
but also, there's a Max Payne reference in Alan Wake 1 where there's a flashback scene in Alan Wake 1, and you know how you finding the pages of Alan's book as you go through the game. Well, in the flashback, you find pages from his previous book, and it's read by James McCaffrey, and it doesn't name any names or get specific, but the writing very strongly implies that it's the story of Max Payne, because it talks, like, he talks about losing his wife and child, and the last thing he says is "Honey, I'm home," which is what he says when he goes home in Max Payne and then finds his family's been murdered.
Yep.
So it's like, it's very clearly a Max Payne reference there.
Yeah, you go to Alan Wake's apartment at one point in Alan Wake 2, and he's got the Berettas.
Oh, the dual Berettas, yeah,
on the shelf somewhere. I don't know whether that's an Easter egg or if it's like another reference that they're connecting all of these games.
I mean, it's at the very least an Easter egg.
At the very least, it's an Easter egg. Yeah, and Alex Casey is in Quantum Break as well, and so is what's his name? Sean. Shit, the guy that played Iceman. Or at least I think he was the guy that played Iceman. His brother looks exactly like him.
Yeah, that is him.
Yeah,
that is him. That's the same guy.
He's in Quantum Break and he's in Alan Wake 2.
Oh, okay.
So they're definitely doing a Remedy-verse, thing.
Yeah.
And I never played Quantum Break. I mean, I tried to, but I was like, ugh.
Yeah, I haven't played it.
I can't do it. Yeah. Quantum Break needs a remaster so I can play it, because that 30 frames per second, I just can't do it anymore. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's definitely not a perfect horror game by any stretch of the imagination. There's some weird...
Horror is one of the hardest genres to do, because what is scary is different to everyone.
So it doesn't get the scary part wrong. It gets the action part not quite down.
Oh, yeah?
I actually prefer the action from Alan Wake 1 more.
Yeah.
The dodging is more fluid. The gunplay feels a little bit better. I don't know.
Are they still doing the light versus shadow thing in Alan Wake 2?
Yeah, okay, you gotta flash the
because I like that.
Yeah, it's cool, and it works a little bit differently in this game.
Okay.
Than it did in the first one, but it's very similar though. But the action just doesn't feel. It feels a little tanky.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel fluid enough. But you have to do that in horror games in order to feel vulnerable at the same time.
Yeah, because people talk about, combat in horror games needs to be shitty, or you feel too powerful. It's like, well, it doesn't need to be shitty, but you do need to be the underdog.
Yeah.
And you need to have a way of achieving that.
I guess I should probably give it more credit than I am, because it does feel like the older Resident Evils, where you always just have just enough ammo.
Yeah.
And just enough health packs to survive. And it's like, that is stressful though.
Yeah. And the thing is, even when you know it's an illusion, because Resident Evil games will start giving you ammo when you start getting low. So even though you know it's an illusion and the game is always going to keep you supplied, provided that you don't just shoot at the fucking wall.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And just deliberately waste all your ammo. It's still, like I'm playing the Resident Evil 2 remake. I felt the exact same thing. It's like, I know that this is all a lie and that the game will not let me run out of ammo unless I'm dumb.
Yeah.
But man, I'm feeling this ammo shortage.
Yeah. Yeah. I was in a I don't want to call it a boss fight, because there's no bosses really in the game, but there was a boss-like encounter, and it came down to one bullet.
Oh, wow.
I killed him with the last bullet, and I was like, that's fucking good, because I don't have no melee in this game. I mean, you do have melee, but it's more of like a stun. You can kill people with it, but you'd have to hit them like 1,000 times.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just right now I'm sitting at like a 7 or an 8 for me. Yeah. We'll see what happens when I finish it. But yeah, I can't play it for more than like an hour at a time, because it just fries my nerves. It's freaking scary. Yeah. All right. Let's move on. We don't have a letter this week, but I have a new segment that I am gonna shove in here.
All right.
To replace a letter time when we don't have letter time.
You really had to do the hand gesture.
Shove it in there.
You talk about how you don't like the word insert, and yet you doing that hand gesture, man.
Just shove it in there.
Yep, that's the one.
And it's called
that hits different as we get closer to 40.
It is,
because
sometimes it's like this.
40 is when you got to get your prostate examined.
Yeah, sometimes it's like this. Oh. Okay, moving on.
Yeah.
That'll get us age restricted.
Yep.
Uh,
YouTube's going like, nope, that's not gonna fly.
So the new segment is called Happy Birthday Video Games. And what I have is uh, a happy birthday shout out to a game that's 10 years old this month, 20 years old this month, and 30 years old this month.
Oh, we do that all the time, but it's cool to have it formalized.
It is formalized. So turning 10 years old this month is Dying Light, one of my favorite zombie slash horror games.
10 years, hasn't it?
It's a great game.
Yeah.
Great. That was one of my favorites for that gen. And Dying Light 2 is great. Don't sleep on it. It's fantastic. Turning 20 years old. Speaking of Resident Evil 4 for the GameCube.
Yeah.
Is 20 years old.
I wanted to shout that out on the second week of January, but I was still too sick for us to record.
Indeed. And 30 years old this month for the Super Nintendo. Bust a Move.
Oh yeah.
Remember that game?
Yeah, with the bubble dragons and the bubbles, you match them up. Yeah, I love that game. Yeah. I have the arcade version of 1 and 2 on my Switch.
There you go. Yeah, so happy birthday, video games. I'll try to do that once a month to categorize
those
the month's birthdays.
Those were Neo Geo titles, I believe.
The
Puzzle Bobble / Bust Move.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to the Metacritic check-in, which I don't think we have anything to go over. Just double checking. Yeah, no. Nothing worth talking about, I don't think. The only one that of note that I recognize is the new Lonely Mountains game, Snow Riders, and Sin Duality, which I think is like a new free-to-play gacha game. I think. Yeah. Nothing to. I don't think we have anything to highlight this week.
No. So it's more of a Metacritic check out.
Check out, yeah.
Because we're checking out of this segment.
Fuck you, Metacritic. Moving on.
It's not Metacritic's fault.
That's true. It's true. All right, let's get into the news. Starting with 2 trailers that we watched that came out this week. One called All Will Fall,
which I liked the look of.
Looks very cool. It is a city builder with physics.
Yeah, I said to you as I was watching it that it looked Raft as fuck.
Very Raft style
and,
visuals.
It's like instead of Raft, it's like oil rig, because now you're building a stationary thing and living on it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, physics based. They call it a city builder in the trailer. I'd hesitate to call it a city. It's more like a compound.
A community.
Yeah.
Community builder. Yeah.
It's like what if you're building up the fucking oil rig from MGS5, except it's a physics-based game now. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It looked fun.
And also, it's kind of like Banished, but with physics.
Yeah. Which is another game that I liked.
Yeah, Banished is a great game. So that looks really cool. There's a Steam playtest going on right now. So
which I'm going to do as soon as we're done recording.
I think you and I are both going to check that out. Again, I don't know whether my PC will run it, but I'll give it a shot just in case. It might
put an ice pack on it.
I do have a fan base for it.
Yeah.
Which will be plugged in during it, but yeah. And then we checked out Phantom Blade Zero's new gameplay trailer. So you've never heard of these guys when you were watching. You mentioned.
Yeah, I said I'm not familiar with them.
So they are a mobile developer. I guess they have a game on mobile called Phantom Blade.
Oh, okay. So they're doing like a big boy console game.
Yeah, this is a huge jump. They've never done anything remotely like this before, and they are a small team, if I remember correctly.
I love to see that. Expanding out to other horizons, because it's a different experience. Building something primarily for a touch screen and then building something that's going to be played with buttons on
and way less in the graphics department.
Yeah,
as well on mobile. Yeah. Like this game looks very pretty for such a small team. It looks
really nice.
Yeah,
and it was also the other thing I commented on is that it's very clearly a real gameplay trailer, because it wasn't perfect. There were some places where I was like, that animation didn't lead into the next one quite right, or that went clear through the enemy. Just the little quirks that happen in gameplay that you're like, whatever, it happens.
Yeah.
But that you never see in the pre-rendered like target render stuff, because they always make sure it's perfect. Yeah. So it's real gameplay, which is nice to see, and it's just gameplay. Like
it's just a gameplay trailer.
There's no voiceover. There's no like sizzle reel. It's just a boss fight. Which is kind of samey, but it's nice to see just real ass gameplay for a whole trailer.
Yeah, the original reveal trailer had a mix of in-engine gameplay and cinematic stuff.
Yeah.
But it looked really impressive. So when I saw that some actual full gameplay was being shown, I was like, well, I gotta check it out to see if it looks as good as it did originally. And I think it looks great. I think it looks really cool.
It does look like another action game, but I also
it does look like another Souls-like, but
a little less Souls and a little more like it's sort of like a halfway point between Souls and like Devil May Cry, because you're doing the jump on the sword thing.
Yeah, that was cool.
That's the one thing. It keeps happening during the fight, and it's like, oh, that seemed like a special thing, but they do it like 5 times.
Yeah, it's definitely a move that the boss specifically does.
Yeah. It's like the bride jumping on Pai Mei's sword in Kill Bill Part 2. Pardon me, the other way around.
Yeah.
Well, I think she does it to him as well when she masters the fighting. But
super cool.
The thing I liked about that fight is that I didn't initially realize it, but it seems it's like a puppetry thing.
Yeah.
You'll notice that there's one guy who seems to have like strings controlling the others.
Did you watch far enough in it to see the second phase of that fight?
Yeah, second phase where the puppets then revive the puppet master.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, that's
cool. And he's like hanging from the strings.
Yeah. He's like dangling in midair. Cool. Yeah, that
and his body's all like doing.
Yeah, it's all ragdolling around and stuff.
So cool.
The boss fight, it went on a little long, but I mean, you're fighting like 7 dudes, so.
Yeah, I felt like his health meter could have drained a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
For how much he was slicing the shit out of him.
Yeah.
They may have just turned it up to a higher difficulty to.
Just to show off more.
Yeah. So who knows? But look, if the game has difficulty settings, I don't know.
We have no idea.
No, they haven't really talked a whole lot about it. They're just showing
that looked neat.
Pieces.
The character designs looked cool.
Yeah.
Like the faceless ninja puppet guys. That was cool. The
style of the combat looks really cool. Like him.
Yeah.
He almost looks like he's dancing. Like it's like
he's got like the one sword and then he pulls out a second one and you go back and forth. I'm assuming there's probably a few different weapons that you use in the game.
Yeah, the trailers gave numbers to the 2 weapons that he was using, 13 and 16, I think.
Okay.
Said. So it seems like it's going to be a game of collecting weapons as you go.
Sure.
Through.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I'm always down for an action game with lots of different weapons.
Yeah. So I like what I see.
Yep.
And I wish the best for that studio, small team.
Yeah, good luck to those guys.
Hope it turns out well. It's coming out this year at some point, or well, no, sorry, they said they were announcing the release
date this year.
Yeah,
which to me says we don't know yet.
We don't know yet. We're not 100% sure.
We'll know by the end of the year.
Yeah. So we'll keep our eyes peeled for that.
You don't usually see an announcement for the release date. It happens sometimes, but not usually.
We'll let you know this year when it's coming out. I think. I'm okay. I am more than okay with that rather than them delaying a game 18 times.
Yeah.
Looking at you, Assassin's Creed. Yep. Looking at you.
I was wondering how long that was going to take.
Speaking of which, there's no Ubisoft news this week.
Wow.
For the first time in
usually when there's no news about something, it's like, uh-oh. But in the case of Ubisoft, no news is good news.
Yeah. There was news, but it was buried in the last news that we had talked about, so I didn't feel the need to bring it up. But it definitely seems like they're gonna sell.
Yeah,
it definitely seems like. Oh yeah, the way that they worded it sounded like they were going to. Well, this is gonna piss you off. If you haven't heard this
yet. Just waiting for it. What's the corporate speak this time?
Oh no, it's worse.
Oh boy!
It sounds like what they're gonna do. Oh man, I don't even want to tell you.
No, do it. You can't. You leave me on the edge of my seat, man.
Okay. Let me finish though before
go for it,
because I know you're gonna launch into hatred here.
Yeah.
So what it sounds like, and again, this is just speculation based on things that they've said. It sounds like what they're going to do is piecemeal the quote most valuable IP from Ubisoft, create a quote new entity, and what do they do with the rest? Probably lay them off. So it sounds like what they're going to do is take what they suspect or believe is the most valuable IP, take it with them somewhere else, make a new company, start from scratch, and then sell off the rest.
Yeah.
Kind of slimy.
Yeah. So I've actually seen this done before.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there used to be a company called ADV Films, which was a company that specialized in dubbing and distributing anime in North America. Now, in the mid to late 2000s, the anime industry was going through some rough times, and it wasn't just in Japan. Things were rough in North America as well, and a bunch of companies shut down. And what ADV Films did, and this is a very brief overview of what they did, was the founders of ADV Films started a new company and then sold ADV Films to their new company. Oh, and here's Dante. And they fucking they named the new company after the part of like Texas bankruptcy law, which is where they're based. So it's like Section 23 of whatever law. So they called their new company Section 23 Films.
Slimy.
Yep. But it worked. It worked. They're still around today.
I mean,
I've gotten into the habit of calling it the zombified corpse of ADV Films.
I don't think they employed 14,000 people, though, did they?
No, God, no.
That's the caveat there that we need to keep in mind. 14,000 people. How many of those are they taking with them?
Yeah.
I think it's going to get ugly.
I don't know what the employment numbers at ADV Films were like, but I have a feeling you could probably have fit them on a school bus, and not a big school bus. Like you could fit them on the short bus.
The short bus? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's going to get real ugly. With whatever Ubisoft does, it's not going to look pretty.
Well, that's just that in general. That's the statement. It's going to get ugly, whatever Ubisoft does. That's it. Period. End sentence.
It's true. It's going to get ugly.
Yep.
All right, let's get into the news. Starting with some really sad news for me personally. The team behind Celeste was making a game called Earthblade.
Yes.
And it's been canceled.
Yes, it has.
The article from IGN, as always, that's where I get all of my news for the show, reads, for fans of the 2D platformer Celeste, it was sad to hear that the developer's next game, Earthblade, has been canceled. In a blog post titled, Final Earthblade Update, Extremely OK Games announced that its follow-up to the award-winning game Celeste has been canceled. In the post, EXOK director and R&D Maddie Thorson detailed the reasoning behind the decision and what's next for the studio. Quote, late last month, Noel, who's the computer programmer, made the difficult decision to cancel Earthblade. We made the decision in December and felt it was best to wait until now to announce it. Thorson's post details that at some point late last year, a dispute arose between Thorson and Barry and Earthblade art director Pedro Medeiros over the IP rights of Celeste. Thorson declined to detail the dispute other than to say that there was a resolution reached, and Medeiros parted ways with the team and is now developing a separate game titled Neverway. However, this dispute gave Thorson and Barry a chance to examine where they were at with Earthblade and discovered that the project was not coming along the way they had hoped. Quote, Noel and I had also began to reflect on how the game has felt for us to work on day to day and realize that it's been a struggle for a long time. Sure, working on one project for so long is bound to become a slog, but this feels like a deeper problem. The article goes on from there, but it's such a shame because the trailer that we've seen and the footage we've seen looks so good.
Yeah, there was already footage out for that.
Yeah. And Celeste was just It's a phenomenal 2D platformer. So the fact that they're going to be starting over after working on this for as long as they have really sucks. So that
Mm-hmm.
means it's going to be like,
Yeah, Celeste came out like 6 years ago, didn't it?
yeah, it's been a while. It's been a
Yeah.
while. So we probably won't see Celeste's new game until the next gen, which sucks. Unless they've been working on a second game in the meantime, but they're a small studio, so I doubt
Well,
it.
I mean, it depends on how much that they can repurpose.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on if they want to do another 2D platformer, which I
Yeah.
assume they would want to, but maybe they want to just switch up entirely and do something
Yeah.
else. I don't know.
Yeah.
But super sad news. Not something I wanted to see. Next up, the president of Spider-Man Ratchet and Clank developer Insomniac announces retirement. Ted Price, the founder and president of Marvel's Spider-Man, Ratchet and Clank, and Resistant developer Insomniac Games, has announced his retirement from PlayStation after 30 years.
Jesus.
Price made the announcement
Long
on
time.
Sony's. Yeah, it was a long time. Price made the announcement on Sony's website, while a follow-up PlayStation blog post delved into his replacements: Ryan Schneider, Jen Wang, I want to say Wang, and Chad.
Huang. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
that.
Wang.
Yeah. Yep.
And Chad Dezern will take over as co-studio heads of Insomniac. The studio, which is currently working on Marvel's Wolverine, is currently, quote, in one of the strongest positions, end quote, it's been in years.
I mean, yeah, after 2 Dynamite Spider-Man games, I'd call that a
3.
pretty strong position.
Yeah. Price said, quote, therefore, last week I felt comfortable announcing to the Insomniac team that after having been incredibly fortunate to enjoy a fulfilling career in games, I'll be retiring from the industry at the end of March. It goes on from there, but
Yeah.
Huge name in the industry, been responsible for so many, Insomniac and Sony properties.
Mm-hmm.
Sucks to see him go, but he's young still, so my guess is he's going to be doing something else.
Yeah, I mean, Cliff Bleszinski retired, and then, well,
Came back and then left again.
and then left again. Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
that's a bad example.
Yeah. Yeah, but I
don't think we'll see a radical heights from this guy.
No, I am very interested to see how the studio performs without him, especially with 3 co-leads. That's an interesting way to do it.
Yeah. This is the kind of thing where, like, not to get into speculation or anything, but usually this is the sort of thing that I would expect. It's like, after Wolverine comes out, I'm done. Like, I'll see it through to the end. So, I'm not gonna speculate on what his reasons are. Like, dude's been in the industry for decades. So, if he says he's done with it for now, then he's done with it for now.
He is indeed. Is there any information about the co-leads? Let's see.
I mean, I'm assuming they're people from Insomniac who've been there for a while and know how things work. That would be the logical thing to do.
Yeah, senior leadership to
Insomniac. Give it to your old hands.
Oh, here we go. Yeah. Quote, during the past year, I had the opportunity to work with the senior leadership team at Insomniac to create a succession plan that I know will provide the continuity, stability, and strong leadership necessary to deliver more of what our fans cherish over the next several decades. End quote.
That's good. Having a plan for your game development studio.
Yeah.
We should see more of that.
Yeah, imagine that. Being prepared for someone's leaving. That's, that just means he gives a shit, which is nice too.
Which is nice, yeah.
There's a little bit of information about the co-leads here. Schneider began at Insomniac during the PS2 era, and later became the studio's first community director. And then he joined the senior leadership team and served as head of franchise strategy and studio relations, and then head of brand and leadership strategy before moving to co-studio head.
That sounds like good positions to have before a leadership position.
Yeah, agreed. Wang joined Insomniac as CFO and head of finance 8 years ago, and has shipped 12 games with Insomniac.
Having somebody who knows how to work use the money. Yeah. Also a very good idea for leadership.
And then Dezern has been part of Insomniac since 1998 and has worked as an environmental artist, art director, studio director, and most recently as head of creative.
So somebody who has hands-on experience with game development. These sound like very good picks.
This is good information, Ted.
This is a very well thought out exit strategy. Kudos.
Yeah. Price continued, quote, "There's no way I would ever consider handing the reins to a team I didn't trust to take care of Insomniac and lead us to even greater heights. Chad, Jen, and Ryan, their first names, are
Mhm.
that team.
Yeah, I believe it. You get somebody who knows how to handle relations with employees, somebody who knows how to handle the money, and somebody who actually knows how to develop games. It's like the three things you need to run a game studio. You've got people with lots of experience.
He's
Yeah.
probably in line for next year's what do they call that award? Is it a Dice Award, or
Oh yeah.
there's a big award for like huge names in the industry
Yeah.
who do a lot. All right, let's move on. Do you have the Capcom one up? I can let you lead that one if you want.
No, but I put it in the chat.
Okay, I'll take the lead on it and then throw it to you. Capcom is experimenting with generative AI to create, quote, hundreds of thousands of ideas needed for in-game environments. As video game development costs rise, publishers are increasingly looking to controversial AI tools to speed up work and cut costs. Call of Duty reportedly sold an AI-generated cosmetic for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 in late 2023, and fans accused Activision of using generative AI again for a loading screen last year. EA said in September that AI was the very core of its business. Well,
Yeah.
that's not surprising
Not
from
at
EA.
all. Oh, somebody we don't have to pay?
Yeah. In a new interview with Google Cloud Japan, Kazuki Abe, I'm going to say is his name,
Yep.
a technical director at Capcom who has worked on huge titles like Monster Hunter World and Exoprimal. I wouldn't call Exoprimal a huge title. Explained how the company is experimenting with implementing AI in its game development processes. Quote, one of the most time-consuming and labor-intensive parts of game development is coming up with hundreds of thousands of unique ideas. Okay. I don't think you sit around coming up with hundreds of thousands of unique ideas.
That's maybe it's so time consuming is because you spend all that time coming up with hundreds of thousands of ideas instead of just a few good ones.
Weird. Abe explained, sorry, that was end quote. He added that designs for things like televisions require their own unique designs, logos, and shape.
What?
He added that designs for things like televisions require because they can't infringe on someone else's design. I'm assuming is what he means.
Oh, come on. Look, as a designer,
it's a square.
Making a legally distinct knockoff is one of the easiest things to do because 90% of the work is done for you. You just have to change a few of those details so it's legally distinct.
And make some other name, make a fake name up.
Yeah.
That's weird. He continues, including unused ones, we ended up having to come up with hundreds of thousands of ideas. What is he talking about?
Yeah, why does he keep saying that?
I'm gonna continue here. Multiple proposals are needed for the thousands to tens of thousands of these kinds of objects per game, and each proposal includes illustrations needed to communicate the idea to the art director and artists, as well as text. Seeing room for efficiency improvements, Abe created a system where generative AI could read various game design documents, and an AI could output the ideas, enhancing development speed and efficiency, delivering feedback for itself in the process, and further refining output.
That just sounds like a fucking AI summary. Like, you know how it'll summarize like an email chain or something like that?
Oh, you might know some of this. It says his prototype, which taps into multiple AI models such as Google Gemini Pro, Gemini Flash, and Imagen, has apparently received positive feedback from internal development teams. The result of implementing the AI model would ultimately reduce costs significantly compared to by doing them all by hand, while also improving quality. Right now, Right now, Capcom's experimentation with AI models appears to be limited to just this system, leaving other aspects of game development such as ideation, gameplay, programming, and character design firmly in the hands of humans. So it seems like they're just using it for object design?
Yeah. So this is the big stumbling block for me. Reduces costs how? Does it mean that you don't have to pay somebody to do the work? Because if that's your idea of a good way to reduce costs, that's fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you just don't want to pay someone to design objects?
Yeah. Like
okay.
You're telling me that as a studio based in Japan, a country that has an incredibly rich art culture, You're having trouble finding people to design shit for you? Is that what you're saying?
To design televisions, apparently.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, you mean the country that designs some of the best televisions? You know, the country that's home to like Mitsubishi and Sony. Like, what
Yeah.
this is
Bad
like,
examples for sure.
I don't know if this is just a translational thing or what, but
Mm.
this sounds fucking stupid. This is a word salad of bullshit.
Yeah, I agree.
And like the reason that I
Hundreds of
wanted,
thousands of
yeah, the
what?
reason that I wanted to talk about this is because Capcom is one of the good guys, you know, in an industry that has seen so many companies resort to bullshit. Capcom has been mostly bullshit free. I mean, there was some nickel and diming with like Street Fighter V cosmetics and stuff. And I'm not saying that they're completely innocent of any shittery, but like
Shittery.
relative to somebody like Konami, which used to be a legendary developer, and you know just said fuck it, we're gonna cancel Silent Hills, we're gonna shut down development on MGS5, and we're just
And
gonna
focus on plinko machines.
yeah, we're gonna make fucking pachinko machines and shit. Like it's not hard to see Capcom as one of the good guys here, and then they go and do this shit. Like what the fuck? I just
Yeah.
like there's so many things like machine learning as a branch of computer science absolutely has legitimate applications, but using it to create art is not one of them. We should be using it to automate tasks that don't need humans so that we have more time to do art, you know, to engage in creative pursuits. This is the thing that bothers me about the whole generative AI thing. It's like, no, this is the thing that's fun. You know, going over spreadsheets and tabulating data, that's not fun. A computer can do that. But creating art, whether it's writing or drawing or composing music or whatever, that's fun. Why would you use a computer to automate that? And like Capcom has so much good design sense. Why would you want to hand over that to a computer that's just going to regurgitate existing designs? Like look at the work that they do in the Monster Hunter games, in the Devil May Cry games, in the Resident Evil games. Look at how creative those creatures and those characters and the equipment and the worlds are.
Yeah.
Like this is a company that has such like fucking Okami 2 is coming out.
Yeah, it's crazy.
This is a company that has such a strong art legacy, and now they're talking about using generative AI. Oh, but it's only for helping to come up with ideas. No, fuck that. You didn't need any help before.
Yeah.
Doing it all yourself is what made us love your games so much. Like, no, get
Yep.
this shit out of here.
Yeah, I'm interested to see the first time someone can spot an AI item or an AI something
You like an asset in a game.
in not just any game, but in like a AAA game. That's like I'm waiting for that moment to see what the reaction is.
It's not going to be good, and
No.
it's going to like. You remember we talked about that Coca-Cola commercial in December?
Mm.
Remember how I said that the shots in it only last for like 2 or 3 seconds because they know that if they hang the camera on it for any longer than that, you'll spot all the mistakes.
Yeah.
Because when you pause it and look, you see all the fucking mistakes.
Oh yeah.
It'll be something like that where it'll just be like it'll be an image that flashes during like a loading screen or something.
And you'll be like, "Did I just see a dick?
Did that hand have 6 fingers? I don't know.
Yeah.
It went by so fast. Like they'll try to sneak it in like that.
Yeah.
But fucking, and when I say they, I mean like the general they. I don't mean Capcom specifically. I mean anybody who tries to pull this shit. They'll try to sneak it in and try to normalize that. No, then this is why I want to talk about it, because we need to call that shit out now. This is a creative industry, people. Use your creativity. Leave the machines to do the things that machines are good at. Machines are good at lots of things. Let them do that. Let humans do the things that humans are good at, which is creating cool shit.
Art.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. All right, let's get into some news that came out of the Xbox Developer Direct.
Oh, there was a lot of news that came out of that.
Yeah, there was 4 big pieces of news, 5 technically. I'll start with Ninja Gaiden 4 has been announced.
Yeah, unexpected because
Yeah,
there's that Ninja Gaiden side-scrolling game that's also coming out.
Ragebound. Yeah.
Yeah.
Different developer though. That one's from the guys who did Blasphemous.
Yes.
And then this is a full-fledged sequel to the Ninja Gaiden trilogy.
Yeah, from
that was
from
on
the
Xbox.
Yeah. Great games. Well,
but
the
this
first
one
was pretty good. I haven't played the third one. The second one was all right. But we'll talk about that in a moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's that as well.
Indeed. This time it's obviously being published by Xbox Game Studios, but it's being developed by Platinum.
Yeah, co-developed
which is
between
crazy.
Team Ninja and Platinum. And you know what? That's great because both of these companies have put out good ninja games, you know? And you can absolutely fucking see the Metal Gear Rising DNA in that game.
I was going to say that too, yeah.
He's like, wait a minute, that looks a lot like a move that Raiden did.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot of slicing people up in slow motion here.
Yeah. So the game is due out in the fall of 2025 for Xbox Series, PC, and PS5.
Ooh.
Yet another Xbox game coming to PlayStation.
Well, those all came to PlayStation 3 eventually, but it was like later. Yeah, I mean,
but I mean, this one's being published by Xbox, so it's really the days of I think Xbox exclusivity are dying.
I mean, look, if the way I see it, the more games that are available on more platforms, the better.
Agreed. It's also been announced that it is a day one Xbox Game Pass Ultimate title. I wanted to bring something up real quick.
Yeah.
So Xbox always touts this, day one on Xbox Game Pass. But then they changed all the how Game Pass works. So there's tiers, and you only get games on day one with Game Pass Ultimate.
Yep.
But they never changed their wording.
Yeah.
I don't like that. It should be changed to day one Game Pass Ultimate. That's what it should say.
Yeah.
I don't like that. It's not really lying, but it's a little misrepresentation there.
Yeah, because they're counting on you going to sign up for Game Pass and then
being like,
I don't get it with this tier, but for a few bucks extra, I get it with the higher tier.
A lot of bucks extra. Yeah.
That doesn't sound like too bad a deal.
Yeah. I mean, it's still a good deal. I mean, $19.99 a month for
it's still a great
400
deal,
games. Yeah.
But they are being a little bit not dishonest, just not completely transparent about it.
Yeah, they're just omiting a
They're
detail.
Just omitting the details, exactly.
Yeah, so I don't like that, but something I noticed.
Yeah.
Coincidentally, they also, as you had mentioned, shadow dropped Ninja Gaiden 2 Black.
Surprise! It's out today.
Yeah, crazy. Now, this might sound controversial to you. Okay. I'm interested to see if you agree with me. So first of all, just to be transparent, I am not a Ninja Gaiden fan.
Yeah.
I didn't like the 3D ones.
I played the first one a lot.
I played the 2D one, and it's really hard, so it was never my thing. But so is the 3D games. They're pretty hard.
I'm pretty sure we played Ninja Gaiden Trilogy on the Super Nintendo together a few times.
I'll have to look that up.
Because they were NES games, and then there was a trilogy release on the Super Nintendo with all 3 on one
Ninja Gaiden Trilogy SNES. Let me look at that up real quick. The artwork looks familiar.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's just the NES games just on
It's the NES games with very slightly upgraded graphics.
Oh, yeah, I recognize this. Yeah,
it's
I definitely played
a little bit more colorful. It's actually, as a re-release, it's a little bit disappointing because they could have done a lot with the graphics. And because, sometimes the enemies are the same color palette as the background, and that makes things frustrating in a fast-paced game. But, those NES games are great. They're hard as fuck. I've only beaten them by cheating. I've never beaten them, honestly. I don't think I ever will. Because those are the kind of games that you have to get good at in order to beat. Because the boss fights are 3 phases. It's fucking insane. But they're fun.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned the visual of these games because, and here's where it might sound controversial, but I think Ninja Gaiden 2 Black looks better than Ninja Gaiden 4 does
Hmm?
visually. I was not impressed with the Ninja Gaiden 4 visuals. They looked. There's this like. I need to pick a name for it, but there's this like quality to it that I see in games where I'm like, ooh, there's something budgety about this look. I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it,
Yeah.
but it looks odd. And then I saw the footage of Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, and I'm like, what the? Are these
Well,
like
you
different
know,
engines? I don't
so
know.
so here's what part of that might be. Ninja Gaiden 4 is a brand new game, and
Hmm.
Ninja Gaiden 2 is an existing game that they're building on. So it's just making something that already looked good better. They don't have to come up with entirely new designs. They
Yeah.
can just build on what's already there. They're just iterating on something existing. So it may very well look more coherent because it's an iteration of something that existed.
Yeah.
They
I
just
mean,
have to make something good look better.
I'm going to reserve judgment till I can like play this game because, like, once again, it's both Ninja Gaiden Black and Ninja Gaiden 4 are on Game Pass, so I could
Yeah,
probably go play Black right
and
now.
Ninja Gaiden 4 isn't
But
out yet.
no, it's not out until fall.
Yeah,
So we'll see. This is not what I was expecting for the mystery announcement by
yeah,
any stretch of the imagination. So it's kind of
no,
cool though. So it's a win for them, I think.
yeah.
Um, it doesn't say what engine they're using for Ninja Gaiden 4, but it does confirm Ninja Gaiden 2 Black is on Unreal 5.
Unreal 5, yeah.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case for 4 as well.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next one. The next game they went into was South of Midnight from Compulsion Games. It got a release date for April 8th, 2025. If you get the premium edition, it comes 5 days early. Why anyone would buy
Yeah.
the I
I'll
don't. I hate that
spend
hook.
an extra $10 to play it a
Yeah,
little bit early.
it's really weird.
Yeah.
Um,
Or to play Starfield like 3 days early or some shit.
yeah.
Whatever it was.
I don't have anything new to say about this game. I still think it looks pretty. I'm still cautious with my hype level for it because of the studio's history.
Mm-hmm.
For those that don't remember, these are the guys who made We Happy Few,
Yeah.
which when it debuted
Was
in a trailer,
little...
well, like when it was first revealed, it looked amazing.
Oh yeah, that initial trailer with him redacting the newspaper stuff.
Yeah, and
Oh, that was hot.
take your joy and all
Take
that
your
kind of
joy,
stuff. Like
yeah, that
it was like BioShock.
that
you know,
trailer was white hot. It was
so good.
so fucking good. It was one of the best trailers I've ever seen. And
Yeah.
then the game came out, and it's like,
Yeah, it wasn't great. Yeah, it wasn't
Yeah.
great. And it wasn't even the type of game that we thought it was. It
No.
ended up being like some sort of like roguelite of some kind, like a weird like I don't let me look it up real quick. We Happy Few. I know they changed it.
Yeah.
So Wikipedia says it's an action adventure, but there's a twist. There we go. The game combines role-playing survival and light roguelike elements. So it's
Yeah.
not like it's not a BioShock game at all. It has
No.
got BioShock vibes, but that's it.
Mhm.
But so that's why I'm cautiously optimistic, but I'm optimistic because this visual style of this game looks really cool. I'm all about
Yeah,
third
so
person
there's-
action games.
There is on that note, there's something I want to say about this.
Yeah.
There's a thing in this trailer where stuff moves at a normal frame rate and then stuff moves at like a stop motion kind of frame rate.
Yep.
I did not like that.
It looked a lot better in the original trailer for the game, I do admit. If you go back and watch the reveal trailer of the game, I thought it looked very cool, that style. But yeah, in this trailer, I was like, I don't know if I like that they mix the two.
I mean,
much.
it can look good, but the fact that they're mixing the full frame rate and the stop motion frame rate, I don't like that. I would
jarring.
Pick a lane, one or the
Yeah.
other. Either commit to the full stop motion thing, which could be cool. I can see that going wrong in a lot of ways in a game, but I can see it going right as well. Excuse me for a moment.
Yeah.
All right. But mixing the two is I don't like it. And if they only do it for cinematics, fine. At least it's not a gameplay thing. I would just prefer it to just move at a fluid frame rate all the time instead of mixing up these two. I mean, maybe
Yeah.
if they went into a different art style, then it wouldn't be such an issue. But the fact that it's still using all the same in-game assets and everything, it's just we're cutting out 90% of the frames.
Yeah.
It looks like a game that isn't finished, or it looks like a game that's having trouble rendering.
Yeah. I hope it comes together in the end.
Yeah.
But that's why there's just a lot of things about it where I'm like, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. But I mean, I really dig the design work in it. Like,
yeah,
you've
it's
got this
gorgeous, and the music and everything.
Yeah, you got this catfish character. He looks kind of cool. What's up with him? He's got one
the
color
crocodile
on one side. Yeah. That's kind of cool. These environment designs are kind of nice.
Yeah, the game is described as a fantastical version of the American Deep South.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Looks very cool.
The banjo gives that away.
yeah. Very, very New Orleans. Type of Louisiana, type
I'm not
vibes.
crazy about the very realistic stuff with the very cartoonish faces, but it could grow on me,
Yeah.
Stuff like that. There's been times where I've seen stuff like that and I've gone, I don't know about this. But then after a while, I'm like, no, you know what? It works. So I could definitely see this. I could definitely see this working.
Yep. So
but I generally I love the design work. Like, I love the outfit that the character wears. It's pretty cool. It looks like a combination of just like street style stuff, like just her casual clothes, but then also like there's like she's got this weird thing on her back, like this weird wicker thing, which I assume is some kind of mystical tool or weapon or something. Looks like she's got a few different outfits. Yeah, like visually, stylistically, looks kind of cool.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that turns out.
Yeah, not too far away.
Yep.
And coming day one to Game Pass, so I'll be able to play it as well. All right. Next up, we got more information on Claire Obscure Expedition 33, which everyone's just going to call Expedition 33. I don't know why they feel the need to add this Claire Obscure thing unless they're trying to
build a franchise
around it, which don't do that ahead of time. People hate that shit.
Never plan for a franchise. Remember the Dark Universe?
Oh god. One movie?
Yeah. Starting at The Mummy and ending at The Mummy.
The Mummy. Yeah, good lord. So stupid.
Yeah.
But this is that
they had Tom Cruise, man. They thought it was they were on lockdown for that, but no.
Yep. Nope, that movie sucked. It was awful. It wasn't actually that awful. It was just fine. But that's not enough. That's not good enough to get a franchise.
Yeah.
Like just the idea of that franchise, though. The idea of combining all these like classic
monster.
Yeah. It's a cool idea.
It could have been good. It just needed to be executed better.
Exactly. Yep. So Expedition 33 is the French developer. What's the
Sandfall Interactive?
Sandfall. So they're a turn-based RPG that looked freaking sick. Visually, it looks amazing. Stylized, looks amazing.
Yeah.
Kind of. The studio came out of nowhere. But we saw the original trailer, and the concept of the story is just so cool. The painter has basically ruined the world, and she or he, whoever they are, every year she writes a number on there's like a tower or something.
Yeah.
And she started at 100, and at the end of that year, anyone who's of the age that she writes dies at the end of the year. And so they've been dealing with this for 66 years. And every year they send an expedition, a group of adventurers or military people. I'm not entirely sure. Of the age of people that are about to die that year to try and stop them.
They'll be really motivated to stop.
Exactly. And they're going to die anyway, so you might as well go try and take out the painter.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what Expedition 33 means. It's a group of 33-year-olds going to try to take out the painter. Just such a cool concept. for a
Yeah, I'm
fantasy
looking at some
game. And
imagery from it here, and there's like the Eiffel Tower is like melted, like
yep,
half melted and leaning over. That looks cool.
just the whole idea of it, and just the it's just oozing with style.
Yeah.
Um, and the gameplay kind of reminds me of Lost Odyssey, if you
Yeah.
remember that game, where
Yeah.
the where it almost has like a combination of like Super Mario RPG style, like timed hits and
Mm-hmm.
all that kind of stuff. Just
It's
looks very
it's almost like
pretty.
it was made by a bunch of ex SquareSoft developers.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, Lost Odyssey.
Oh, sorry. No, I thought you meant Sandfall. But yeah,
No,
Lost
no, no.
Odyssey. Yeah,
Lost Odyssey is from
Mhm.
Mistwalker, which was a bunch of ex Final Fantasy people.
That game was insane. 4
Mhm.
discs
Yeah, I know.
on 360 too. It's
Yeah,
fucking crazy. But yeah, I'm on board for this game. I really hope it turns out well. I've learned to be very cautious when it comes to new AAA looking RPGs though, because
yep,
they tend to disappoint. So I'm going in with cautious
yeah.
optimism,
Measured
but it looks great.
expectations. But
Yeah,
yeah, like visually, this looks fantastic.
yeah, yeah. I don't think they've had any media with hands-on time with this or South by Midnight, South of Midnight.
Yeah,
So um, we don't really know how it feels to play these games yet. So I'm
no.
interested to
But I mean, a turn-based
get more
RPG
stuff.
is a turn-based RPG.
Yeah, it should be okay. It
Yeah.
should be okay. That being said, though, I couldn't get into the Thaumaturge, and it's a turn-based RPG.
Yeah. Well, I
because
mean,
it didn't
just
feel
in,
perfect.
Just in terms of like control and stuff, it's like
it's hard to screw it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But whether the gameplay loop is fun, that's another thing entirely.
Yeah, but we'll
I mean,
see how it turns out.
These guys definitely have the art credentials, if nothing else.
Oh god, yeah, the game's
Beautiful.
beautiful,
It looks
just
awesome.
gorgeous. What engine are they using? Because I'm wondering if it's Unreal 5 as well, because it's gorgeous. It's just beautiful. It doesn't say in the article what engine they're using, so I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, they're from the same city that the Prince of Persia: Lost Crown studio was from.
Yeah,
the one that got closed.
Yeah, I have no idea, but it visually it looks awesome.
Yeah, gorgeous. And it comes out April 24th, so the same month as South of Midnight.
Yeah,
which is
good,
interesting.
Good month for beautiful looking games.
Yeah, yeah. All right, and then finally they gave us a deeper dive look at Doom: The Dark Ages.
Yes.
And confirmed the release date, which is May 15th for Xbox Series, PlayStation, and PC.
Yeah, I was thinking, oh man, that seems really soon, but like, no, the last one came out in 2020.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Doom 2016 will be 10 years old next year.
Yeah, oh man. Oh yeah, they also so I will admit I skipped this one on the direct because it's fucking Doom. I didn't need to see it. I'm like 90% of this game is visual. It's just the gore and the animations and the levels and all that stuff. So I don't want to see anything. I've seen enough. Take my money. Actually, don't take my money because I get it for free on Game Pass. But
Yeah.
but you have my money. I don't need to see any more of it. So I haven't watched that, but I did find out that it is confirmed no multiplayer. It is single player only.
Yeah, I mean,
which is okay.
Not having multiplayer in a Doom game sounds weird until you realize that multiplayer wasn't super well received in 2016 or Eternal. The single player was definitely the stronger part of that. Yeah. Which is like when the original Doom was such a big deal that you could play it multiplayer. It feels weird as a legacy thing, but that's not the kind of game this is. And honestly, if it means focusing on the single player, that's fine. This works best as a single player game. I think it's too asymmetrical. This is not a game that's built for balance with other players. It's built to make you a monster killing machine. It's not about competitive balance.
And I think it was the executive producer and the game director explained the decision to go single player only was made early. So id Software could fully focus on the campaign only. Mm-hmm. Quote, we made that decision early so that we could really go all in on the campaign. It's our largest, most expansive, most epic campaign ever. And we're just really happy with the decision. I think it's been awesome to have the team focused on just polishing and finishing the campaign.
Yeah.
They added that because of the decision to dish multiplayer, it was able to include features in the campaign that it wouldn't have been able to otherwise.
Yeah, I imagine,
These
because those multiplayer teams get pretty big.
Yep. These include sections where you ride a fire-breathing dragon and pilot 30-story high Atlan mechs. So
Which they
cool.
absolutely showed off in the trailer that you didn't watch.
I saw the riding of the dragon in the first trailer.
Yeah, the riding of the
trailer.
dragon is.
Yeah.
So, let me ask you something.
Mm-hmm.
You said you didn't bother watching it. Do you mind if I talk about it, or do you want?
Yeah,
me to...
no, go for it. Yeah,
okay.
Fine. I just didn't want to see anything because it's such a visual game to me.
Yeah. So I'm kind of two minds about this. On the one hand, they mentioned that piloting the mech and flying the dragon is not just a one-off thing. There are multiple places in the game where you'll do that.
Cool.
So it's cool that it's not just a one-and-done mechanic. I like that.
Yeah.
They've shown off a lot of really neat weapons. My favorite one is the one that takes skulls and shreds them into splinters and then launches the splinters in a wide arc.
Saw that in the original trailer. That looks dope.
But then there's stuff that I'm not so keen on. One of the things that they talked about is that this game is a bit of an inversion of Doom Eternal, where it's not about moving around and doing acrobatics. And I'm kind of like, I don't know. I do think that Doom Eternal leaned a little too heavily on the chaos, especially in the DLC, which like just completely overfills with monsters and doesn't really become fun. Like, I actually really hate the DLC for Doom Eternal. I think it fucking sucks. But the base game is great. But I do think that easing off of that might not be a bad idea, just because it can be kind of overwhelming. But here they're talking specifically about how it's not about running around anymore. It's about standing your ground and blocking attacks. And I'm kind of like...
It's a lot less Doom-like.
Yeah, I'm not sure I want to play a Doom game where I just stand and eat the hits and then... Because at what point is that different from a cover system?
Well, I think you have to parry. I think the shield requires you to parry.
Well, excuse me. There is parrying, and you can use that to deflect attacks back at the enemy. And that looks cool. That looks cool as fuck. And you can also spin up the shield as a razor blade and throw it. That's dope. I like that. I'm always happy to have new ways to tear up demons. But you can also just raise it and block a bunch of shit. And it sounds like they're really encouraging that. And I'm just like, but I want to move fast, especially if this is a big, more open world style of game. I'd really like to be able to move fast. Like, one thing that I was constantly doing in Doom 2016, hitting the shift key to run. There's no sprint in Doom 2016. It was endlessly frustrating. But Doom Eternal adds the air dash. Hell, it has a fucking double air dash that you can unlock. So that was great. I love air dashes. I'm not sure that they'll have anything like that in this game. And I want to be able to move fast if I'm going to be going around large areas, you know? I want to be able to you know, bob and weave my way through the enemies. Don't get me wrong, it's cool that you give me something big and heavy to use, but I don't want to sacrifice the speed and agility that I've enjoyed so much in the last two games.
I might be able to bring some perspective to this.
Okay.
So I played the 2016 Doom, and I loved it. It's great. I could not get into Eternal.
Eternal is very demanding, and that's
it's
why
very
I think,
different.
Yeah.
I when you said chaos, I think that was a really good way of putting it. It felt like there was just too much to pay attention to too quickly.
Yes.
Which might just be getting old as a gamer, and I just want something a little bit slower. But I did enjoy the speed in the first game. But I think they took it to a level that was a little bit too far.
Yeah, exactly. And I agree with that.
Eternal.
I was able to do it, but it takes some getting into. You have to find the rhythm, and it only works once you get all the equipment, like all the grenade types, the flamethrower, the sword that lets you instant kill enemies for a resource cost. Once you get everything, the game feels great. But
I have been meaning to go back and try it again, because I think I just wasn't in the mind space for that kind of game at the time, and I want to give it another shot.
You have to play the game the way it wants you to play. There's not really... They give you a lot of tools to work with, but this is going to sound strange. but there's not really a lot of room for creative expression in that game by way of violence. You have to kill an enemy the way they want you to, or it's going to be a slog. Like, I
Right.
might want to chain gun this cacodemon. No, they want me to shoot an explosive in its mouth, and anything else is going to take a lot
Take
of
more
ammunition
time.
to kill it. But the
Yeah.
grenade is just an instant kill. It's like, okay, but I've got the chain gun out right now, and I've got lots of ammo for it, and the
I
demon's
remember
right
I
fucking
remember
there.
feeling that way. Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember feeling that way. So yeah, I agree with you there.
and that's an area where I'm like, that's the thing. Like, I get what you're doing, and I enjoyed it, but I think I would prefer a more free-form approach to violence. And I do think that they're doing that with this game because they keep talking about all the different ways you have to fight. So I think they will be kind of reversing course on that and
Yeah.
giving you more freedom. But man, I like the movement. I like the idea of never standing still.
I
You
did
know?
like that in the first Doom. I just
Yeah.
think it went overboard in the second one.
Well, yeah, in the second one they've got they've built the levels around that, and
Yeah, yeah.
like you've got to do it, or else you're gonna fuck up and fall in lava or some shit.
Yeah.
I do think Eternal was a little more demanding than most people are interested in.
Mhm. It almost felt like Ghost Runner. Have you played that?
No, but I know what it's like. It's
Yeah.
a parkour kind of game.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think there is a sweet spot, and I think they overshot it in Doom Eternal, and I'd
Yeah.
like them to bring it back a little bit, but it just feels like they're going back too far.
Too
In
far.
this.
Yeah, they're slowing it down too much. Yeah, we'll have
Now,
to see.
I could be totally wrong. You know, this.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
and
we haven't
the,
played it, so
the reality is, I'm gonna buy this fucking game because the last two games have been good. So
it'll be on Game Pass, so I'll play it as well.
yeah. But I just like I'm looking at it and I'm not feeling the same kind of certainty that I felt with the previous ones, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Nope, I get it.
the reality is they've done a slower paced Doom before, and it was called Doom 3, and it wasn't bad, but it was more of a survival horror game than a
Yeah,
shooter. You
it
know?
was.
It's
Yeah,
fine, but not really what I'm looking for in Doom.
agreed. All right, two wrap up ones here. Xbox Game Pass's Wave 2 has been announced for January 2025, which is basically almost over at this point. Starting with Lonely Mountains Snow Riders. We talked about that in Metacritic. That's coming to Game Pass. It is on Game Pass now. Game Pass Ultimate. Flock is being moved to Game Pass Standard. I was going to skip those ones. Just the new editions. Gigantic Rampage Edition is also out on Game Pass. I think that's some sort of like MOBA. I'm not really
Rampage
sure.
Edition? You mean like the Jurassic Park game on the Sega Genesis?
Or
Remember
maybe
the-
Rampage, the arcade game. I don't know.
You remember that? You could play as the Velociraptor or
I
as
do.
Sam Neill? Yeah.
I had to. What else? See all these. There's a bunch of standard moves. Starbound is now on Xbox. Game
Oh yeah,
Pass
that's
Ultimate.
the game that's totally not Terraria, but is absolutely Terraria, but with
Space
a sci-fi theme.
Terraria.
Yeah.
Eternal Strands is coming on January 28th. Orcs Must Die Death Trap is coming January 28th to Xbox Game Pass.
I gotta play those one of these days. It's like
they're
a
so
tower
good.
defense kind of game, right?
It's a third-person shooter mixed with a tower defense,
Okay.
but it's a tower. But yeah, it's just levels, and you have to
Okay.
figure out the best way to
Yeah,
prevent
yeah.
the orcs from to get to the portal. I think you have to defend a portal.
Yeah.
They are very similar, all three of the first ones, though. Just don't play the crappy one, the side spin-off one that they made. I can't remember what it was called, but it was bad though.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1, 2, and 3 are all good, if not very samey. Shady Part of Me comes on the January 29th. I don't know what that one is.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that.
The new Sniper Elite Resistance game, January 30th. Citizen Sleeper 2, January 31st. And for some strange reason, Far Cry New Dawn, February 4th.
Okay.
Which is the Far Cry 5 spin-off game. I think it's almost like a Far Cry 5 sequel, but
Yeah.
it's I've tried playing it like 16 times and I just don't like it.
So I'm looking up Shady Part of Me. It's like an art, platformer. Very arty. It looks kind of like almost kind of like Limbo.
Oh.
Very contrasty art style. It looks fine.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with it.
Those are the kind of games that I prefer they put on Game Pass because I discover games that no one plays and they might be good. So
yeah, it's a good place for them to go.
Yeah, so I will be playing a bunch of these games and report back. Leaving Xbox Game Pass in January are the following games: Anuchard, don't know what that is. Broforce Forever.
Yeah.
Darkest Dungeon is leaving Game Pass. Death's Door is leaving Game Pass. Play Death's Door. It's a great game. Maquette is leaving, and Serious Sam Siberian Mayhem.
God, there's so many fucking Serious Sam games. I can't keep track of all of them.
Yep, there are a lot. And then finally, Nintendo has added games to Switch Online. Fatal Fury 2 for Super Nintendo. Super Ninja Boy for Super Nintendo. And Sut Hakun, which was, I think, a Super Famicom game.
Yeah, they put those on there sometimes.
Yeah. So for those of you who have Nintendo Switch Online, which I no longer do,
check it out.
Yeah, it's not expensive. I just haven't touched my Switch in so long at this point that I just,
Well, it gets more expensive if you get the expansion pass, which gives you access to like N64 games and stuff, but
not great N64 emulation.
Yeah, not great N64. Yeah, which is the whole reason why I haven't done that.
Yeah. All right, that's the news. We don't have a topic of the week this week.
No.
Because
I feel like this episode kind of snuck up on us. I don't know why.
It did. Well, I also thought that the developer direct was going to be a little bit more beefy.
Yeah.
For some reason, but it's fine. I'm not worried about it. Which means it's time for Video Game 20 questions.
Oh man, are we going to knock out an episode in less than 2 hours?
We might.
Holy shit.
So we're going to do another co-op one since last week turned out pretty well.
I think the ability to take hints and kind of, follow its path when it doesn't always give you the right answers is definitely helpful.
Well, I mean, we confirmed that it did give us all the right answers last time. Mm-hmm. But it was just very specific. We have to be very
specific.
Yeah, it wasn't wrong.
No.
But it is possible that it can mislead us. But not because it's wrong.
Because it's not what we meant.
Yeah. So, let the questioning begin.
Let's start out with our usual. Try to pin down a date.
Yeah, let's see. Did this game originally release on or after January 1st, 2000? Yes. Do the same thing for 2010?
Yeah.
Yes. 2020?
Yep.
Yes. Ooh.
Oh, so that gives us a much narrower time window.
5 years. Yeah, okay. Interesting. Okay, should we do the old classic? Was this originally exclusive to one platform?
Yeah.
Remember that when we say that, it doesn't count PC.
Yeah.
Remember that.
And if it's originally exclusive, that could also be interpreted as it got ported somewhere else later.
Yeah. It was not. So we have a multi-platform game. Ooh, those are the hard ones. Where do we go from here?
But I mean, that's not surprising. So much stuff is multi-platform these days.
Yeah, that's true. Let maybe ask it. Is the developer? Is this a Japanese developer?
Sure. No. Okay.
I don't like when we get no's. Where do we go from here? Well, that probably means it's not a Sony or Nintendo game because they typically published exclusives.
Mm-hmm.
Xbox doesn't anymore, though.
Although, Lego Horizons.
True, but that was developed. But yeah, that was developed not by Sony. That was developed by the Lego team. It was published by Sony, though.
Yeah, but that
Uh,
means it's not a Japanese development team.
oh, I see what you mean.
It's a multi-platform game from the last 5 years.
True. True. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out the best way of like narrowing this. Is this a licensed game? Maybe that's a good one to go with.
Yeah. Is it going to understand what we mean by that? Like, is this game based on an existing franchise or property? Something like that.
Yeah. Let's see.
Maybe like a non-video game franchise? Is this based on a non-video game franchise?
It is a licensed game.
Ooh, so it still
could be Lego Horizons.
Ask if it's a Lego game.
No.
Okay. So did you get specifically that it's a non-video game franchise that it's based on, or did you just say, is this a licensed game?
This is a licensed game. Okay. The questions are typically based on the game that they play on the GameScoop podcast. And is this a licensed game is a pretty common question that they use. So I'm pretty sure they would program it to understand that.
It'll interpret it like that.
I'm not 100% positive, obviously, but I'm pretty confident that they would know. They program it up a certain way.
Okay.
So it could be a sports game.
Could be a sports game.
Could be a wrestling game, which it's kind of a sports. Could be a racing game.
It could be a mobile game. We haven't ruled that out.
It has to be in IGN's database, though, so it's not going to be something obscure.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm sure IGN tracks mobile games.
Big enough mobile games to be on the radar, yeah. But they don't track like garbage. They don't even review garbage anymore. They stopped doing that. But it might be in their database, though. Maybe we should ask, is this a mobile or handheld game? Well, there isn't any handhelds anymore.
Yeah, ask.
You might
a mobile game.
Yeah, we could do a mobile game, and if that doesn't work, we could ask, is this game can you play this game on the Switch? Is a good one, too. Because there's a lot of games that you can't play on the Switch, but there's also a lot of games that, like, did come to Switch that you wouldn't expect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a good question. Okay.
Yeah.
Is this a mobile game? Let's start there, though. No, it's not a mobile game.
Okay. Well, is this game available on Nintendo Switch?
Yes. Okay. Because when you think multi-platform, a lot of them don't come to Switch.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's an indie game.
Could be.
This is question 10. Do we want a hint? Or do we want to get to 10 and then use a hint?
Let's take a hint.
Okay. So we've got genre, platform, release, publisher, and developer. If you like developer, it might be nice.
What would the hint for release be? Like a year or
a year? Yeah, which doesn't really help us because it's like the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Platform.
We're not allowed to look things up.
Nope.
So
I think developer's a good one.
Yeah, developer is a really good one.
Let's go with developer.
Yeah.
IDOS. What the hell does IDOS make anymore? Tomb Raider, but there hasn't been a Tomb Raider in the last 5 years.
Well, but what if they're counting the Tomb Raider remastered trilogy?
Could be. Did they do the remaster though?
I mean, Rare didn't make the 2013 Killer Instinct, but it still said that they did because they created the franchise originally.
True. I feel
IDOS would have published it.
I feel like Eidos made something else. Oh, Gotham Knights, and that's
Oh,
licensed.
oh yeah. Is it on the Switch though?
Ooh, no, I don't think it is.
Are we allowed to look that up?
No,
No,
no cheating.
no.
They may have a cloud version because they did a bunch of cloud versions for games that they couldn't run
They
that
did.
no one gave a shit about.
Yeah.
um, I'm pretty sure they made Gotham Knights, but but wait, Tomb Raider's not licensed.
Tomb Raider's not licensed yet.
Well, they might consider it a licensed property now because they've made movies and stuff on it. But Gotham Knights makes more sense to me, though.
Gotham Knights makes more sense.
Maybe we should ask: is this a superhero game?
Yeah. Oh, speaking of licensing stuff, I fucking watched the new season of the Castlevania show. I forgot to bring that up.
Is it good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I liked it.
Okay. It is a superhero game. It's gotta be Gotham Knights. It's gotta be Gotham Knights. That's all they make. Oh, wait. I wonder if they helped Rocksteady on Suicide Squad. Because they made Batman Origins, if I remember correctly.
See, I don't have a lot of experience with those Batman games, so
shitballs. And I can't. There's not. What kind of question can? Oh, is this? Oh shit! Both games are multiplayer. Fuck. And both games are multiplayer focused. What makes them different? They both star 4 superheroes.
Shit.
Well, Suicide Squad's more of a shooter, though. I don't think you shoot.
I don't know if that's.
I don't think you shoot guns. Oh, Suicide Squad's a live service game. Could ask if it's a live service game.
Sure. I'm so helpless here because I haven't played any like the Batman games since Arkham whatever the first Arkham game was.
Asylum.
Yeah.
It says it's not a live service game.
Okay.
So that points to Gotham Knights being the one. But I'm not 100% sure that they made that game. I'm 90% sure, but I don't know.
What? Who's the star character in Gotham Knights? Is there one?
It's four superheroes. You got like Robin, Red Hood, Batgirl, and Deadshot. Maybe?
Ask, does this game feature Robin from DC Comics?
No. Fuck.
No.
Unless it's wrong.
Unless it's wrong, yeah.
Oh, I don't know what else Eidos made. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, Eidos. Eidos. What does Eidos make? Let's just shoot off IP. What else do they make?
There's that shitty Ninja game on the PS1. What was it called? Ninja Out from the Shadows or some shit like that? It was bad.
Yeah, don't know that one.
It was bad. But fortunately, Tenchu came out that same year, so we had a good ninja game instead.
Yeah, we did.
They fucking publish Soul Reaver.
Oh, could it be the remaster?
It's not superhero based.
Oh yes, this is a superhero game.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
So I guess unless they're not considering Suicide Squad a live service game.
Here's my question.
But it is a live service game.
That shitty Avengers game. That was developed by Crystal Dynamics, right?
Yeah.
And they're owned by Eidos.
They didn't come out in the last 5 years, though, did it? I swear that's like a 2020 or a 2019, 2018 game. I could be wrong, though.
I don't think it is.
And that's definitely a live service game.
That is definitely a live service
Yeah,
game. Yeah.
they added millions of heroes in that game.
Yeah.
Unless the AI doesn't know what a live service game is,
Yeah.
that's definitely a possibility.
Ask if it's based on
Marvel.
Marvel, yeah.
It is.
It could be then.
What was that game called?
I
Marvel's
think it was called
Avengers.
Marvel's Avengers.
Oh, could be Rivals. Just came out.
Did
That's a live
IDOS
service game.
have anything to do with it?
No, I don't think so. I don't know if IDOS had anything to do with Avengers either, though.
Well, like I said, because they own Crystal Dynamics. Like Square, IDOS owned Crystal Dynamics, and then Square bought IDOS. So maybe that's how the AI sees it as being connected. I don't know. I'm just going based on the loosest possible justification it had for connecting Rare to that the 2013 Killer Instinct.
Maybe we should use the release year hint, because if it is Avengers, it must have been 2020. If it's Avengers, because there's no way it came out in 21, 23, 20. There's no way. It's
I don't
fairly
remember. I don't fucking remember at all.
If it ends up saying like 2023 or 2024, it's not Avengers.
Okay, ask for a release year.
2021. It
Fuck.
could be. It could be Avengers.
Ask if you. How many questions are we in now?
15.
Ask if you can play as Captain America.
No.
Oh fuck.
Uh-oh. 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 We're in trouble. We're in trouble. A Marvel game. Oh, Spider-Man. Spider-Man. Duh. It's one of the Marvel Spider-Man's games. It's got to be.
But IDOS hasn't had anything to do with those.
Oh yeah, what the fuck? IDOS?
Yeah,
fuck. Fuck you, IDOS.
Yeah, like the tenuous connection to Marvel's Avengers is the only thing I can think of.
Unless there's a Marvel game we're completely forgetting.
It's possible. There's a bunch of mobile games.
Oh,
but it's not a mobile game.
No. I wonder if it's Guardians of the Galaxy. There was a Guardians of the Galaxy game. Yes. Can I ask if it features? Well, that's the name of the game though.
ask if
can you play as Star-Lord?
Star-Lord.
You play as Star-Lord in that game.
I fucking hated that movie so goddamn much.
Yes.
Okay.
Is this Guardians of the Galaxy? Winner!
There you go.
I knew they made a game in the last 5 years that
that
game was great.
I gotta look this up.
What are you questioning? It wasn't a live service game. It was a third-person action adventure game. It was made by Eidos Montreal, looks like. It was on the Switch.
Let me...
Published by Square.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Huh? Interesting.
2 for 0.
I totally forgot about Eidos Montreal, which is a shitty thing to do because they made Deus Ex Human Revolution, which I really liked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, Guardians was their last game, and they made Shadow of the Tomb Raider before that. Yeah,
and now they're part of Embracer Group.
Oh yeah, are they still together, or did they get deleted?
No, it says they're still a thing.
Okay, I wonder what they're working on. That's been a while.
Yeah, I have
3 or 4 years.
Idea.
I think they were the ones that were rumored to be working on the next Tomb Raider. So it could be they went back to Tomb Raider. But yeah, if you haven't played that Guardians of the Galaxy game, play it. It's great. It's not based on the movies. It's based on the comics. So
yeah,
you don't get the shitty MCU stuff in it. It's very good.
Oh, they're supporting development of Fable.
Damn.
They're helping out Playground Games on that.
That's weird.
Yeah, that is a weird thing.
That's just like Crystal Dynamics helping the initiative. That's weird.
Yeah, like why?
There must be an Xbox Square partnership.
Well,
but Eidos is Embracer. Yeah, that's fucking weird, man.
So like, is Embracer just whoring out its studios?
It could. Wait, Square is not owned by Embracer, right?
No,
they're their own entity.
Yeah,
so,
remember Square sold Eidos for $300 million for their NFT bullshit.
I wonder if Xbox and Eidos has been working on Fable since before Eidos was sold, and they were under contract to continue to work on
it. Maybe.
It's tough to say because we don't know how long they've been working on Fable.
Well, let me check this article linked from Wikipedia. Yeah, I'm not seeing a date. They're probably not allowed to say.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, that is weird. But I guess whatever, as long as those people are getting work.
Yep.
Especially since apparently there was a Deus Ex game that Embracer canceled.
Yeah. Well, the 20 questions machine continues to work.
Yeah.
It did not lie to us again. So I guess we'll just continue until it does, and then we'll
and they'll go back to trading it off.
Then we'll go back to trading it off if it screws us. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Yep.
Cool. Well, that has been our show, ladies and gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
A little on the shorter side this week, but that's okay.
Yeah.
You can reach me at TJ-Leo on BlueSky.
I am also on BlueSky at Ninjas plus the standard whatever the fuck comes after it. I hate that so much. I know why they do it, but
you don't have to type it in though. You can just search for the name and
yeah,
it'll come up. Email your questions in to be featured on the show at co.op.podcasts@gmail.com. Don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you want to subscribe, click up here. If you missed the last episode of Press Pause, a gaming podcast, click down here. And get back to gaming. We'll see you next week.
If you want to see the hottest porn, click here. Oh, but you can't see where I'm pointing because I'm not on camera. Sorry, I guess you're going to miss out on that. It was good stuff, too. I could be, and you'd never know.
It's true. I could be wearing no pants. You don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
I can take off my pants right now. I'll do it. I'm doing it. But did I really? You don't know because you can't see me.
This show just got really weird and entered into a new age restriction level, I think.
You have no idea. Fuck it. I could have been naked this whole time and you'd never know. Maybe I just put pants on.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know. No, I don't want to know. All right, we'll see you next week.
Yep. You won't see me.